Baby, I miss you. Baby, I miss you. Never thought the day would ever come. I would really miss you. I would really miss you. Baby, I miss you. Baby, I miss you. You mean more to me than you ever know. I wanna kiss you. I wanna kiss you. Cause I miss you. Cause I miss you. I miss you. In this world that is so cold, so cold. I really miss you. I really miss you. And I need you. And I need you to be here with me, baby. I need you to be right here with me. I want you near with me. Baby, I live for you. I miss you so much. Pick up the phone. I feel so alone. I miss you. I miss you. I miss you. Baby, yeah. Oh, baby. Baby, yeah. Talking about I'm crazy, yeah. Because I miss you. I really miss you. Because I miss you. I really miss you. Miss. So you can close your eyes at night. Know that things gon' be alright. Gon' be alright. You can close your eyes at night. Know that things gon' be alright. You gon' be alright. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Know that things gon' be alright. You gon' be alright. Close your eyes and know that things gon' be alright. I miss you. 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 Baby, I miss you. Baby, I never thought the day would ever come. I would really miss you. Baby, I miss you. Baby, you mean more to me than you ever know. I wanna kiss you. I wanna kiss you. Cause I miss you. Cause I miss you. I miss you. In this world that is so cold, so cold. I really miss you. I really miss you.
Peace and greetings, family. You're listening to WHCR 90.3 FM. I'm your host, Pojanee PJ Fleury, and you are listening to PJ's show. We have a great one for you this week. We have in the building Mikey Jay. You just heard his track, I Miss You, and he's going to tell us a little bit about that track and all about him, his work, and actually the amazing community work he's been doing outside of the music scene. So we're very excited to have him with us today. He has many accolades attached to his name. So we're going to find out all about that. Welcome to the show, Mikey Jay.
How you doing? Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, most definitely. So first, tell us about that track, I Miss You.
That's actually from a film that I did some years back called Time Matters. And it was basically based off of one of the characters by the name of Delana Grant missing her husband. And I couldn't find a female to sing it, so I sang it myself. And I have myself and Zaire, which is Darnell Jones's nephew. He's on the second verse, but I did the main verses and the backgrounds and the arrangement. And I did the music.
Amazing. So how did you find your musical abilities? Did that come early on in life?
I would actually say yeah, but by way of my mother, you know, she would listen to everything from country music to reggae to Latin music. I mean, you name it, R&B, Motown, doo-wop. So my musical ear actually came from so many genres of music that I really just owe it all to my mom because my mom was the musical connoisseur, you know?
Nice. Very nice. So when you say you did all the music, do you play instruments or do you arrange in terms of electronic music, the
Yeah.
soundboard?
Yeah, I actually play the keys,
Hmm.
66 keys, 77 and 88 keys. So no matter the size of the piano, I will play what my heart is feeling right through my fingers.
And did you train or is that natural?
You know what? I actually learned in Sunday school, Trinity Baptist Church. I was about 7, 8 years old, and I kept getting into all kinds of mess, even in church. Having, I was fighting in church and everything. And one
Wow.
day, Peter, his name was Peter. He was the deacon of the church, and he was also the musical teacher. And he's the one that taught me the basic piano chords. But he said I had an impeccable ear. I can play back anything he played. So I actually play by ear. And then later on in life, I learned to read music when I was in junior high school and high school. So Miss Caldwell, she was my music teacher in junior high school, and that's where it really got more better for me as a pianist because I was able to read sheet music.
Yes, yes. And I took a little bit of piano myself, so it's a big deal when you can read music. It's a different language and it's
Hmm.
beautiful, right? To just be able to pick up something and look at it and you're able to play it. So when you were in high school, thinking about what you wanted to do, when you grew up, did was music always in that um outlook?
Nah, no. To be honest, at a very young age. I chose a different path for myself. Um, Although I had musical aspirations, I also had aspirations of being in the street. So I chose the streets instead of following Carnegie Hall or any other pathway I could have ventured into if I would apply myself. And later in years, now I'm heavy into music. So I guess that goes to say that no matter what path you lay for yourself, anytime you venture off the path that God has laid before you, it's gonna come back full circle. And it did. It did. So I owe it all to my creator. I do.
Amazing. So how did this whole music thing happen for you then?
Oh man. So I used to break dance. Um, I used to dance with the electric boogie.
Mhm.
Um, and then myself, I really got inspired into hip hop as a rapper from Keith and Niger, very good friends of mine, and they were rapping. I was breakdancing, linoleum, cardboard, you name it. And we would go around battling people breakdancing. My specialty in breakdancing was windmills, pop lock, electric boogie, you name it, anything that was athletically fit for myself. That was my thing. But then Keith and Niger, they were rapping. It was like going everywhere. So I said, this looks easy, but it wasn't easy. But I had a great experience, and I just ran with the ball from there, and just became more lyrically inclined. I went more in depth with my writing, and henceforth, many years later, um, 15 albums and just so much more.
Wow, 15 albums. And there was a Grammy nomination in there.
Yes, ma'am. There's actually two of them. So
Wow.
Sheila, Sheila Smith, she used to work for Burt Podell, and Burt Podell, when she took me to his office, it was just amazing. He had the rock, the Beatles, Mick Jagger, the Rolling Stones, Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, Whitney Houston. This man had everybody under his tutelage, and I'm sitting in front of him, and the only thing I can hear coming out his mouth was Biggie Smalls, Stash Morse Cash, and Burt Podell. Oh well, that's all I could think of. Like, I hope this guy ain't gonna try to rip me off or something like that. But Burt Podell really, really is a great gentleman. I brought Ron Browns over to his office with me as well about a week later for a tour that he set me up for. But he also set me up with Sting and Kelly Clarkson. Katy Perry came later. So I was blessed to be in the studio with Kelly Clarkson on her first time out, as well as Sting. And I worked on a song with him called Desert Rose. And with Katy Perry, it was a song, it was a few songs because it's for her album with Kelly Clarkson, I'm sorry. And it was myself and some other producers. So the two Grammy nominations that I have, to be nominated was great. And they're shared. So we all we are nominated, but we share the nominations.
Okay. For your contribution on the production
Correct.
of those tracks. Okay.
I play the keys.
Okay.
Along with some other people.
Very nice. And what would it mean to you to win a Grammy, to be on a project that will win? Because we know that's in the stars. We're just gonna call it right now.
You know, back then the first time I was like, oh wow, that's what's up. The second time I was more like, okay, you know, God is definitely in the building. But then as you get older and more mature and more wiser as to being validated for something that you don't need validation from other than God, you say, whether I win, lose, or draw, I appreciate the acknowledgement, but God's acknowledgement and validity is all I need, his validation. So that's where I just learned to say, you know what? It's great to be nominated, but win, lose, or draw, God blessed me with the talent, gifts, and the skills to write, produce music, be a hip hop artist, and do films as well. So that's the only validation I need. So I don't get excited no more, and I just accept it, you know, graciously and humbly accept it.
Very nice. And what would you tell upcoming artists, upcoming people just maybe discovering their talent, just discovering that they might have something? What would you tell them?
Well, the first thing I would tell them is think outside the box. Don't allow anyone to put you in a box. And what I mean by that is don't follow the trend, become the trend, be the trend, be a trendsetter. If someone's going left, you go right. Dare to be different. People love simplicity, not intricacy. So when it comes to making music, it doesn't have to be this intricate form of rapping or singing or writing. Be simple. People love simplicity, you know? The second thing I would tell them is be yourself. Be yourself. Don't try to be like the next person. Michael Jackson is Michael Jackson. You be who you are. Prince was Prince, you know? And when you're not sure who you are, you have to take time out to sit, relax, and figure it out. But whatever you do, don't follow or try to be like anyone else, because then you'll be compared to that person. You'll be in that person's shadow. And then I'll also tell them, you got to pray, because without God in anything you do, who are you? You got to keep your faith. Don't take no for an answer. One no will lead to 100 yeses, as well as a whole lot more. So it's all about really just being true to yourself, loving who you are, and accepting God in every and anything you do within your circumference. And learn this
That's
business.
really amazing.
Yeah, I'm sorry. And learn the business you are in. Learn the business, because if you cannot afford an attorney, you will know everything you need to know if you don't have an attorney, business management, and so forth. So I would say to these artists as upcoming now, learn the business, learn what mechanical royalty rights are, learn what payola is, just learn the business, learn the ethical portions of this business. Yeah, that's what I would tell them.
Mhm. Great advice. And going back to your faith, how did you discover your faith? Is this something that you grew up with in your childhood, or did you one day, wake up to your spiritual nature?
I was bad growing up. I was bad. I was bad. They used to call me Bad Blank Mikey. I used to kick people doors and run, and if they open their doors, now this is me at 6, 7, 8, 9 years old in Forest Projects. If they opened their doors, I would throw water on them, milk, you name it. I would go on my rooftop and throw rocks off the roof. I did all kinds of stuff as a kid. One time I dangled a cat over the roof barrier. I did some things as a kid, man. Like, was so mischievous that my mom used to take that belt and handle her business. So when it comes to my spirituality, I knew of God, but I didn't know God. And what I mean by that is, yeah, I knew the stories of God and Yahweh, but I didn't know them. I didn't know them. I knew of them. But as I got older and more mature, more wiser, I gained a much more appreciation of them when I was hustling out there in the streets, and Bella Ray would send me different biblical passages and inspirational quotes of spirituality when I had to do jail time and different jail sentences I had to do back then. That's what got me through it. So as I'm reading these spiritual passages and reading Malcolm X and knowing different positive Black and brown role models or Black leaders, that's when I said, man, I gotta find myself. And I found myself. And when I found myself, I found God. I had a much, much, much more respect and love for Yahweh and God. And I just never looked back, because you cannot serve two masters. Here I am, I'm hustling in the streets, but then on a Sunday saying, thank you, God. You can't do that. You can't do that. God is sucker free, and he doesn't like suckers. So my mom one day, every Sunday she would watch Reverend Price on Channel 11. He's the Black guy with the afro, and he used to wear the George Jefferson type suits. And my mom said to me, like, I said, Mom, why don't you just go to church? I said, Mommy, why don't you go to church? She said, I don't need to go into a church to hear the word, to be inspired. And that's the first time I ever heard the word temple from her. So it was my mom really, man, that got me really more and more in touch with my spirituality, because we're spiritual people. My mother wasn't religious, and I think that was because of who my grandmother was. Um, my grandmother, her mom, her mother's mother, and all of them, her dad and all of them, not her dad, I'm sorry, but her mom and all of them, they're from a reservation in Oklahoma. So they weren't, Native Americans weren't Christians or Muslim, you know. Um, and my grandmother, when she was they moved to Springfield, Massachusetts. So basically, my great grandmother got married to a surveyor who was surveying native land, and he couldn't take my great grandmother off of the reservation without permission from my great grandmother's father. So my great grandmother Mamie, she had to get permission to marry the surveyor and move off the land. And when they moved off the land, they moved up to Springfield, Massachusetts. And that's where the East Coast portion of my family started. My grandfather is from Tobago, and he came here when he was, I think my mother said when he was 17. And they had my mother when she was, I think my grandfather, my grandmother, they were like 19, I believe, something like that. So that's where all the spirituality comes from. For me, it came from my grandmother into me, into my mother, into me. Um, and that's what for me. But when it comes to God and Yahweh, I learned of them later in my youth, you know, 8, 9 years old. And like I said, I just got a much more respect and love for my creator, for my father above, for my brother Yahweh, and every angel that looks over me and make sure that I didn't die from leukemia trait when I was born and had to be in the hospital for 6 months. I didn't die when I was shot 4 times for bullets that weren't even meant for me. When I went through 2 car windshields, when I used to surf on top of the number 2 train coming from Skakey. I've done things where other people have not were not to see the light of day again, unfortunately, or people falling from the top of a train from surfing on top of it. So that's where my strength and my faith will never be deterred when it comes to my Father above and Yahweh.
Thank you for that. It's really on point for me to hear as a parent, as a community that of other parents, right? Because once you have a child, it's a village and there's other children and other parents and things like that. And there's so much going on in the world. And you look at the mischievous children, you know what I mean? Those mischievous boys. And you're just like, oh, you know, maybe they can't change. They'll be bad all of their lives. Or, you see children doing things and you're quick to label them as bad. And I don't think that's the right way to go about it, because just because you did something today doesn't define you.
Exactly.
But at the same time it does, right? Because I think about when I grew up and the mischievous, children in my class, I still think of them like that. I still or when I interact with people that I knew when I was 6, 7, 8, even 9, 10 years old, and they'll bring things up like, you did this and you don't remember you said that, and I'm like, we were children, but people remember that
Yeah.
you affected their life. Even children might not be conscious of it, but everything that they do it's done. You
Yeah.
can't take it back. So if you were a bully and you bullied someone when you were children, when you grow up, if you happen to meet that person again, they might feel those same feelings, right? Because psychology and our spirit, they're very misunderstood, I think, or under understood, if that's even something, because we just don't realize how
Yeah.
how complex they are. You can meet your childhood bully and all those feelings that you felt come rushing back, like that child again,
Yeah.
right? And now they might feel negative towards a person they haven't seen them in 30 years. But I remember when you put
Yeah.
me in that locker, right? And
Yeah.
so I think it's important that we especially talk to our young people, because bullying today is not just, oh, it's funny, oh, I just, do something off, because there, like you said, there's some children that will do that, not thinking,
Yeah.
oh, I'm gonna throw this rock over, this bridge or something. I think that happened recently. I want to say maybe if it wasn't last year, it might have been the year before, and these children were throwing rocks off of a overpass on Long Island and end up killing someone. And it's like, well, in their minds, like, oh, it's just fun. And, they're really not conscious. They're really not thinking.
Yeah.
And as a parent, I'm so careful. I'm always in my son's ear about respecting people, about being nice. I don't know how many other parents are doing that, because I'm seeing these other children. I'm like, did not anyone ever tell you, like, be
Yeah.
nice?
And I
Like,
did that.
just
I threw the rocks over the overpass in high school and
Mm.
junior high school. And you're right, you're unconsciously aware of the consequences behind your actions. And when I was throwing rocks, I'm like, years later, you're like, I could have killed somebody.
Mhm.
So you're right. When you're unconsciously aware as an adolescent, who who's to blame? I think as a parent, I would, if my kid did that, I would blame myself because I didn't sit down with my kid and said, listen, you don't throw rocks over and underpass. You don't do this, you don't do that. And I would definitely take the blame for that. But I taught my son, my daughter, both my sons and my daughters very well not
Mhm.
to do things that's going to have some serious repercussions behind it. And they really turned out great, to be honest with you. They really turned out great. But my youngest son, Jaden, I told him, you don't need to be a gangster. I've been there and I've done that. You don't need to sell drugs. You don't need to hustle. You don't need to be this so-called street dude. Been there and done that. You don't need to. I did it all for you already. And he's a great, great, great young king. He really is. He really is. So you're right. Well, us as parents, either we're gonna take the responsibility or we're gonna turn a blind eye to it. And you and I sound like we ain't taking no blind eyes.
We can't afford it. We can't take any losses. It's such a shame that when things happen in our communities, I think there was a shooting. I mean, there's always a shooting, but there was a shooting of a woman and her two sons recently in the Bronx.
In Bronx, yeah.
And right, and it's like, okay, well, we need to be out in the streets. Apparently, it was the woman's either like current or ex-boyfriend. That's still an enormous tragedy that we should mourn as a community, and bring these stories up at the dinner table, right, in our communities, to talk about what happens when love, sometimes goes left, that it doesn't go the way you want it. How do you react to those situations? Well, it's not to do this, because look, these lives are shattered. Look at the consequences. It's not just when someone from outside of our community does something to us. It has to be whenever anything happens to any of us. We cannot continue to allow these bad behaviors to have these dire consequences in our communities.
Yep.
And I am so happy when I meet like-minded parents, like-minded conscious people, that are pouring in positive, and we don't want to get on parents, right? In terms of like, okay, it's hard enough, right? I'm a parent. Like sometimes, we get caught up. We have to make a living. We have to take care of ourselves so that we can live long enough to even be around for our children, right? Like there's so much that we have to figure out in this life. So it's not to say getting on parents. I I'm saying greater emphasis has to be placed on communication and
Mm-hmm.
talking and lifting each other up.
Yep. You have to. Some parents don't, to no fault of their own. I would just say through blind ignorance. Sometimes it's not a blatant ignorance. Some parents just don't have the psychological skills to raise a child. Some parents don't have the spirituality to raise a child. Some people don't have the mental capacity to raise a child. Or some people are just selfish, narcissistic, sociopathic, and it's all about them and their children out here running amok. So I focus on those parents who are asking for help. And then I focus on the youth who have parents and what's going on with them to land them in prison or jail or while you're out here in the streets. That's really it for me, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And you bring a good point. There are people out here, there are children out here, young people out here that actually did not get the blessing of a parent or two parents in the house,
Yeah.
healthy and psychologically stable.
Yes, ma'am.
We really need people like you, people like other community leaders that are saying, okay, let me take my time and build programs and build safe spaces for young people to come and be empowered, because it does take a village. It's difficult. We all need each other. We need those people who have been called and that are dedicated to lifting up young people, educating young people, molding young people. So I know you've done a lot of work on that front. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so what I would do, I'll fast forward to 2014. I'll rewind to 2014. Um, there's an organization out of the United Nations called Peace December, and they were looking for a New York ambassador. And at that time, I told Sheikh Musa Drame that I was still conflicted within myself. I didn't feel that I was the person for them. And when I was telling him, that I'm still conflicted, he said, "You are the perfect person. You look at you. You just told the truth. The community will believe you. They won't believe Lil Wayne." Those are the exact words to me. And I thought about it. And a few days later, I accepted the role as the New York ambassador for the United Nations in Peace December. And I was going city to city, but Virginia, the Carolinas, you name it, going to the gang members and requesting that they stop recruiting the youth and give them an option to make a decision for themselves. So me as an ex-Crip, I didn't need passage into these neighborhoods. And I also brought Cam Cam Stone with me. Um, Cam Stone was a blood, but he was a high-ranking blood. And he did 19 years in the penal system for a murder, one murder. And the first time I ever heard these words, it's not what you did 10 years ago, it's what you did 10 years later, was back then in 2014. That's the first time I ever heard them words. And that's when I started to say, you know what? That's a true statement, because I couldn't for myself, here I am worrying about what society thought about me in 2014 when they should be looking at what I did in 2004. or 2002 or the year 2000. So when you are on one path all them years ago, but in 2014, you're here meeting dignitaries, kings, chiefs, queens, commissioners, mayors. I mean, you name it. And you're being honored by the NAACP and all these other organizations, U.S. Senate, U.S. Congress, so many NGOs, non-governmental organizations. That's when you realize that what society says or think about you doesn't matter. It's what you feel and think of yourself and what you're doing. So when I go into these communities, I remember Jeff Klein, Senator Jeff Klein. He had me on his campaign for K2. I was going different neighborhoods, putting up my K2 posters, anti-K2 posters and anti-gun posters, and I had different initiatives that I had going on. Jeff Klein, Richie Torres, was City Councilman Richie Torres, City Councilman and Public Advocate Jamani Williams. Here I am, Reverend Sharpton, NAACP President Barron E. Burke out of the Bronx. There's just so many others that's what was important to me. Going into the communities, speaking, keeping it real and full transparency, letting them know that it ain't what you did 10 years ago, it's what you're doing 10 years later. Like things like that. Doing my best to uplift them spiritually, mentally, and emotionally, because if the spirit is broken, the emotions are broken. And once you have a broken emotion, you have a broken mental. So once you heal the spirit, it'll flow into the emotion. And once you heal the emotion, you have a clear sense of self, and your mental starts calming down. You become better. You're not angry. You're not temperamental. You don't have narcissistic tendencies. The sociopath that you once were has went to sleep. Is that day. So you just become a better person. And that's what I was doing my best, along with Bella Ray and Cam Stone and other people I brought with me, just to speak to these people, because all they wanted was an ear. They didn't seek criticism. They didn't seek opinions. They just wanted an ear, a shoulder, not a crutch. They just wanted an ear or a shoulder. And I provided that to them. And I still do to this day. Me and Bella Ray for 19 and a half, going to 20 years, toy drives, giving clothes. I mean, you name it. We've done it all, and we continue to do so.
Wow, such amazing, important, and powerful work. We thank you for that. We're going to break for a musical selection. Another one of your tracks, Love Jones. Tell us about this track.
I gotta love Jones. I did that track. Once again, another song that I did for my girlfriend, Bella Ray. That was done so long ago that it's Valentine's Day coming up. So I thought that would be the perfect selection, where you have a man talking about shopping for feminine products for his woman, or washing her hair with Pantene. So I just felt it was the perfect song for Valentine's Day and all the couples out there, and to inspire other couples to do the same. The men.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. And we are recording right now. It is February 13th, and this is known as Black Love Day, which was started by Mama Ayo. I always want to lift her up for lifting us up. This is the day that we let each other know that we do have love for one another. This is the day where there should be no violence, no fighting among our people, just pure love. And this is a special day that she created. So yeah, this is definitely appropriate all the way around. And I'm so happy that you provided this track for us.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Absolutely. This is Love Jones by Mikey Jay You're listening to WHCR 90.3 FM.
Woo! Yeah, it's your boy. Yo. You know, I gotta love Jones. And I'm gonna let you know what it is. Have you ever in your life, girl, been wine and dine? Well, that is what I do if you gave me the time. Them other chicks are done if you decided to be mine. Them other dudes are corny, girl, kick them off the line. Flowers, candy, edible arrangements, shows, or movies, some other entertainment. Life for me would be your best decision. Playing hard to get is not an impossible mission. If you think about it, girl, you're in a good position. An old school swag with some new school flair. I'll be your best friend, even wipe away your tears, even get your Pantene when it's time to wash your hair. See, I don't have an issue when it comes to pampering, even when they get your pads when you start cramping it. Your future's looking rather good, sit and think hard. Your parents have been answered and you owe it all to God. I gotta love Jones, love Jones. I gotta love Jones, love Jones. I gotta love Jones, love Jones. I gotta love Jones, I gotta love Jones, love Jones. I gotta love Jones, love Jones. I gotta love Jones, love Jones. I gotta love Jones. Sweet lemonade, girl, sweet potato pie. Sweet like a sugar candy, apple in my eye. Let me taste the sugary spot between your thighs. Now tell me, would you like that? Alright. You be my genie in the lamp, but I won't rub you 3 times. I'll lick you like a stamp. But on the real, girl, we can chill and wait for that. Get our frequent mileage on, leave the safe for that. Maybe hit a beach, maybe Costa Rica. What I'm gonna do with your girl, use a keeper. Pretty brown eyes, babe, when'd you get them peepers? Any dude acting up but you, I put him in a sleeper. All I see is the best for you to find the things in life. The house with a picket fence, Moscato on some ice. A coupe in the garage, sedan in the driveway. Pop the top in the summer, cruise along the highway. Yeah, you know, life is too short. So I gotta let you know how I'm feeling. And it's your boy Mikey Jay, Mikey Jones. And I gotta love Jones for you, girl. And I know you got one for me too. Yeah, let's go. I gotta love Jones, love Jones. I gotta love Jones, love Jones. I gotta love Jones, love Jones. I gotta love Jones, I gotta love Jones, love Jones. I gotta love Jones, love Jones. I gotta love Jones, love Jones. I gotta love Jones, I gotta love Jones, love Jones. I gotta love Jones, love Jones. I gotta love Jones, love Jones. I gotta love Jones. Yeah. Let's go out to all my ladies. I gotta love Jones. For you, Mikey Jay.
Welcome back, family. Yes, that was Love Jones by Mikey Jay. This is WHCR 90.3 FM, PJ Show with Pojanee PJ Fleury, your host. Of course, we have Mikey Jay in the building, listening to his tracks and getting to know about him, his community work, such powerful messages that he has to share with us today. And we want to continue on that effort. Like before the break, we were talking about your work with Peace December, deterring gang activity and things like that. Really important, powerful work. And so what is next? What are some other issues that you would like to tackle?
The housing issue. The housing issue in New York is it's always been what it was, but now it's like really beyond. I believe factually that in 2019, let's take the year 2019, 1 bedroom, $800,000 a month in the Bronx. Great, right? 4 years later, 3, 4, 5, 10,000 a month in the Bronx. That's a problem. And that I'm just curious as to know what are they doing about it? I don't shuck and jive. I don't dance around names. I would like to know what Vanessa L. Gibson is going to do about it. The Bronx borough president. You know, it's great to be out there in the communities, cutting ribbons for golf courses and all that. How about we cut some ribbons for real affordable housing? How about we really take what Eric Adams just did? I think he gave EBT cards to the migrants of 5,000. I don't know, but I know it's up there. And they get it monthly. How about we do that for our own homeless citizens and veterans? We are catering to everyone but ourselves. The homeless population in New York is just as bad as anywhere else. Yeah, they passed the new law where you can't be evicted for a whole year. But then what? These rents are out of control. The mortgages are out of control. The Fed chair is trying to do his best, but there's not much he can do without the help of the Congress. And this Republican-led Congress is out of control. So that's my main thing right now. They give people food stamps so they eat. All right, I get that. But you gotta do better. So I do point fingers and I say names. I'm notorious not to blatantly call people out, but when it's in your face, you have to hold them accountable. I'm a voter. I'm a taxpayer, personally and business. And this has to stop. These developers move into these neighborhoods, make the rent so high that people who have aspirations of affording them can't even get them. So that's bothering me right now. Homelessness, evictions, and stuff like that. I slept in my car for so many years. I've been evicted with my mom, evicted personally for so many years. This has to stop.
If I can give the other side of the argument, or let's just say let's have a debate, right? Because I like to look at things on all sides. New York City has a population of about 9 million
Yeah.
residents. They have about 60 million people that come in just to visit a year. This is pre-pandemic. I'm not sure what the numbers are now. That's a lot of people in one space at one time, right? That need resources. If there was an emergency, and those people needed to go to a hospital, they must be admitted, right, as a human right. So when you think about in a place that has so much going on, how do you make sure that all of the needs are being met on all levels? Because when you bring up homelessness and things like that, I knew a person that worked for the homelessness division of the city, the Department of Homelessness. And she said, when we see people on the street, don't think that the city has forgotten about them. There are soup kitchens. There's a lot. We're talking about New York City. There are soup kitchens. There are food pantries. There are free mental health services. There's shelters. The shelters are not great, right? Because of a lot of different factors. And I'm not saying that the city is not at fault in terms of, let's just say, a lot of the mental health hospitals and mental health facilities that were closed in recent decades. So there are things that need to be filled in terms of resources. However, New York City, if people know, like Medicaid, #1 in the city, this is in the country, this is the only place on Medicaid where you can get everything free. If you're on Medicaid, you will literally not pay a dime for any procedure. We're talking about the most complex, of surgeries to just getting a tooth filling.
What?
Right? or Medicaid, you will not pay $1.
I need teeth
So
right now.
get you not. You probably make too much for Medicaid, but the resources are there. So when you see a homeless person not getting resources, it's because they have disconnected themselves from the matrix. Let's just say, right? You have to be plugged
Yeah.
in. You got to go to your program. You have to get, whatever. You have to be clean. You have to, and some programs do require you to work, but that's more of a benefit for you than the city anyway, right? Because you want to be a productive member of society. That's where you can make some social ties and start really feeling like a whole person. Like that sometimes is part of it, finding some meaning and purpose, something hopefully that you enjoy. And then again, that will further you just being this whole amazing person within our society that could add value. So when there's other people coming in and now they're getting resources, maybe they are willing to do some of the things that others are not willing to do. Like get up, let's just say at 9 in the morning to stand on the line to get to get the resources,
Yeah, yeah. I would say this. The resources that are available should definitely be afforded. I would do a first come, first serve basis. Because like you said, you got people who will disconnect themselves, but they're disconnecting themselves because of how they're being treated in the shelter system, how they're being treated by NYPD for being homeless. There's a bias and prejudice there. And they're also being mistreated by society itself. So I would definitely do a first come, first serve basis. And whoever wants the resources, they have access to them. I wouldn't just, handpick, oh, I'm gonna do this demographic first and then no, everybody is in need of something. You can give the proper resources only to those who are in need of that particular resource. Don't just give $5,000 a month to somebody just to run amok, you know? Um, but in retrospect to what's going on with the city itself, it's really sad. It's really sad because we could be doing so much more than what we're doing. But the mayoral administration is not good. It's not good. Like you brought up Bloomberg. Bloomberg was trying to clear out 3-4 million people by the program he did. I would have took advantage of it if I needed it. I would have took advantage of it because I could pick any city I wanted to go to, start a brand new life with the finances that he was offering. Yeah, I would have jumped on that. So how do we fix 9 million people? I don't know. I don't know. We got to start somewhere, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Wow, this has been a great conversation. I hope to do it again with you very soon.
Yeah,
Please,
sure. I'm in.
we would need this. Like, there's so much going on in the city, and people need the info, the news, and to have uh, objective dialogue, right, around these things. It's really important. So I thank you. And thank you for coming on and sharing your music and everything. How can people get in touch with you?
Well, I do have a Twitter. Well, no longer Twitter, it's X.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Team Mikey J. My Instagram is Mikey J NYC. My Facebook is Lord Michael Stephen Paul. And Lord, I was afforded the titleship of Lord by way of the Black Men Rock Image Awards, December 10th. And that was fun. That was fun. It was Bridgerton style. And a month before that, I was presented with the White House Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. That was great. So anything you see with Lord Michael Stephen Paul or Mikey J is on my official pages. So Instagram, Mikey J NYC, Facebook, Lord Michael Stephen Paul, and X is Team Mikey Jay. And look out for my film. It's already out for distribution. Thank you to Dame Dash. America New Network. That's America NU Network. Please, please, please go see my film, Hopeless Romantic. It's Black romantic comedy, great visuals, great audio. So you will not be disappointed. You will not be disappointed.
Beautiful, beautiful. Again, we are so appreciative. We're going to play another one of your tracks to close us out. This one is really cool, little different vibe from the earlier two that we've played. Tell us about Phenomenon.
Oh, wow. So I'm an eclectic artist. I do all genres, pop rock, traditional hip hop, you name it. But I wanted to do something that would bring back the dance culture of New York.
Gosh, that's so cool. It's such a pleasure to play this amazing music right here on WHCR 90.3 FM. Peace.
Kick straight, black race, in and out on lanes, Gucci black frames. Damn lames, won't say your name. Like up, Mikey Propane. Ah, boom, bye bye. Real shot to mine, man I fool, man I die. Ah, hand upon the wheel, left dame downshift trip to Brazil. Ah, coast to coast, got it on me, homie, don't stand too close. Ah, got your girl on the wop, wetter than Niagara, hit her off from the drop. Big drip, big bread, money flow, big clips, big bread. I talk hella, never cap, I'm not with the